Sorry for the delay getting started. I realized when I sat down that my green screen had fallen down on me, so I need to get a new one of those guys. The one I have is old; it's not working really well, and I need to get one of those collapsible ones. That's what I need. So I had to set that back up. So sorry for the delay. Just getting the live stream started here. Before Morgan gets in here, though, I'm gonna maybe give you guys a little royalty-free music while I put in the news section because I didn't do that. I'm just so behind tonight. Actually, I could do the news section when we do the live stream intro. I can probably do that. So if anybody has any questions or comments, we can do that. We just have a short news item. I'm delaying some news items for next week because today seems like a special day for the news item that we have. So everything's going to get pushed back news-wise until next week. But I hope everyone is having a great week. It was a lot of fun to rewatch this crossover, so I hope everybody had a good time doing that. If you have any snap judgments, feel free to leave those in the chat, the live and wired chat. And we'll get to those as well. And so feel free to write those in. And definitely, if you have any comments or questions, you can do that as well. You can put that in the comment section and we will get to those. Okay, so Kenny has a question. Have you seen Star Trek Picard season 3? I thought it was really good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kenny. I am not a Trekkie. It's not that I don't like it. I find it kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of Star Trek. It's hard to get into. It's like Doctor Who. I tried to get into Doctor Who one time and I was like, there's just too much. It's too much. But I've heard people like it, and so I hope you have a place where you can talk about it with other people. I am not that person because I don't know anything about Star Trek. I just know about red shirts and the Enterprise and Beam Me Up, Scotty. That's the extent of my Star Trek knowledge. I can maybe talk to you about Star Wars. I'm more of a Star Wars girl, so but I hope you're enjoying a Star Trek Picard. Yeah, New Rachel says literally live and wired because live wire is in this episode. Yeah, we love a live wire episode here on Supergirl Radio. So we are gonna be live and wired for sure. So it's this is kind of interesting. It's fun to follow the trajectory of Livewire's arc. She has a little bit of her own character arc throughout the series. For the first 3 seasons of Supergirl, Livewire has a journey that she goes on. So we're kind of at the start of it. I would say, you have season 1 is kind of the beginning, season 2 is the middle, season 3 is the end. So that is we're kind of at the start here. She's still in her bad girl phase. Maybe teaming up with another character that is a little unhinged, just like herself. So this is a good writing choice, I thought, for both of Cat Grant's employees to to go postal on her. So and I will enjoy discussing it. Looks like Morgan's here. Morgan, I have a favor to ask of you.
Sure.
I rushed to get on the live stream and I forgot to change my shirt, which would be applicable to this episode, and also tease the T Public store. And
Oh,
I feel like to be on brand, I need to go change real quick.
sure.
So can you hang out with the live chat? Everybody in the live chat, ask Morgan some questions.
Oh
You can do
gosh.
a Q&A.
This is a lot of pressure. I'm now understanding what happens when I'm a minute or two late all the time, every time.
Can you give me a couple of minutes? I will
Sure.
go put on my branded
Your branded merch
my branded merch
from T Public. Wink, 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 wink.
I realized when I was looking at myself in the camera, I was like, "Oh no,
What is different about
I meant
this?
to wear something else." So if you don't mind, I will go.
I've got this. Maybe.
I will go change. And everybody ask Morgan some questions in the chat. She'll do some Q&A, and I'll be right back, and then we'll officially get started talking about the episode.
Oh, goodness, my screen is too big now. I see that Brian wants to know if everyone filed their taxes. Exciting stuff here. We're only going to get to the most action-packed questions here in the chat. We filed our taxes. We owed money. It was a bummer, but I didn't. I don't do that. I made my husband do it for me, but unfortunately, I can say yes, we did. We did file our taxes. I see that people are talking about Star Trek Discovery. I have not really seen any of the Star Treks. I'm more of a wars person. But we have some friends who are super into, and Amy Hypnerowski over on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast is also a big Star Trek person. So she's always trying to get me to watch like Discovery or Picard. And I'm like, I have no frame of reference for any of that stuff. So I have no idea what they're going to be about or if they would be any good. I see that Rachel says that she's getting all caught up on Star Wars right now. And that is very cool. I caught up on The Mandalorian the other day.
Ooh, I have no spoilers. I have not watched it.
Well, I'm going to spoil you for one thing, which is that Baby Yoda, incredibly baby the whole time. So baby.
Grogu remains a consistent cuteness, I think, is what I've heard.
He's very cute.
Still-
He's just doing the dang thing, just being so cute.
Yeah,
respect that. Respect that consistency.
Everything else could stink, but as long as Grogu is still cute.
As long as we've got Baby Yoda, I think we're okay. Like we're just gonna as a species, we're just all gonna be okay.
My TV watching priority is probably out of whack. I watched Love is Blind season 4 before The Mandalorian season 3.
That reminds me that I have a couple of like very juicy articles to send you later that I got sent in a group chat about Love is Blind. And I was like, oh my God. It was like behind the scenes dish about like the bad conditions of like the contestants have to deal with on Love is Blind. And I was like, I didn't know.
I don't have a lot of sympathy for them. You chose to go on the show. Like you knew you were going on a reality TV show.
What they don't like let them sleep or eat though. So that is a little bit beyond the pale of like
conditions.
What you would expect from a reality show.
That's not humanely, and that's probably...
I know. It's like, well, this is a little worse than I thought the conditions were on this television show.
So that would explain why Tiffany fell asleep in the pod.
I was like, you know what? Justice for Tiffany now.
And they're always walking around with blankets. They just they need to fall asleep anywhere they can.
They're so sleepy.
Love is Blind is such a terrible TV show.
And yet I love it so much.
And I'm so mad at Morgan for getting me hooked onto it.
You're welcome, Rebecca. I gave you a great gift.
In no way is it like Lost. Or is there?
Oh, there's gotta be. We can figure it out.
People who didn't know each other previously met, and then they had constants and soulmates.
Yeah, they're like, I'll see you in another life, brother. What if next season? Okay, here's my pitch for Love is Blind. Season 5, Lost themed. They're all down a hatch. They have to meet on the hatch, and then once they propose, they get out of the hatch and they're onto the island, but they're not given accommodations. They just have to rough it in the desert and like on the island for a little while.
Or are they in the Dharma stations doing those weird like psychological?
They got someone's in the bear cage. I think we've got this whole figured out. It's gonna be next season's gonna be wild.
Oh man. Love is Blind, terrible show. I'm addicted to it.
Highly recommend.
And I always go into it like, oh, I can't believe I'm watching this again. And then by like episode 2, I'm like, oh, I'm very invested in this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get emotionally involved. Like I know it's all fake, and then you're like, I cannot believe she said that to her. Like diagnosing people. That woman has problems.
These two should not get married.
I just watched like 5 episodes in a row, and I was like, they have some problems with their life. Don't they have better things to do? I've spent 5 straight hours on the couch.
Oh, what a trashy TV show. And yet I'll watch it again. I'll watch another season again. All right. So I guess we should actually be talking about a better TV show.
Yes.
So we have better TV stuff to talk about. I do have my branded merchandise.
Nice.
On
you can get that in the T Public store.
This is available in the DCTV Podcast T Public store if you'd like to get a Live and Wired with a Leslie Wells t-shirt designed by Comiker Girl. So if you are interested in that, check it out. Okay. So I guess we should officially get started here, 13 minutes in, having had a short Love is Blind conversation.
Whoops.
So let's go ahead and get started, and we will get into the episode.
Leslie Lars' downfall is just that eyebrow twitch that she can't help doing. Could you imagine if Hope was like, let's add that to the PowerPoint? Excuse
what
me?
Year is it?
How old am I? This is how a podcast breaks up.
This is the last episode of Supergirl Radio.
You want a Kryptonian? You got one.
Is it a movie about saving Argo? The answer to that one is no. It's called Witch for a Summer! ! Where does she want to go? Ask her. Talk to her. Really commune with flat Supergirl.
Did we set the bar too high or too low?
I think we set the bar real medium.
You're doing an intensely adequate podcast.
Good.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
McGurk! I love
Not
typing.
mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira.
I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom, because of her outfit.
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this and for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired on the Supergirl Radio Facebook page and the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel to go back in time. We initially started this Supergirl Radio Rewind series because Morgan didn't review Supergirl episodes as a full-time co-host of Supergirl Radio until World's Finest, which aired in March of 2016. And we were revisiting the first season to get Morgan's thoughts on the episode she didn't appear on.
Was this my first episode on the podcast?
So this is your first as a full-time co-host. You had made guest appearances talking about Smallville in our season 0. But this is the first episode that you appeared as an actual official full-time Supergirl radio
Whoa,
person.
man, throwing it back. What a good episode for me to start on too. Good job, Morgan.
So now that we have reached World's Finest, which was the episode that Morgan had reviewed in season 1, we thought it was kind of weird not to finish off the season. We had gotten to episode 17. There's only 20 episodes of the season.
We're
So
almost there.
might as well keep going. So so we're just gonna revisit the remaining episodes of season 1 until we get to the end of season 1. And then maybe some time down the road, who knows, maybe we'll rewind it back to some other episodes after season 1 and other seasons. But for now, we're just gonna end up finishing season 1. And so we'll keep going here for a little bit. So this week, though, we will be discussing the 18th episode of season 1, titled "World's Finest." If you're interested in listening to Morgan's first episode of being a Supergirl Radio full-time co-host, and if from season 1, you can check that out in the video description below the live stream, and we will also put it in the audio podcast show notes. So if you want to hear Morgan then, and then hear Morgan now, you can do that as well if you would
Whoa.
like to do that.
I will not be listening to that first podcast episode. I don't think I probably did very well.
I'm sure you were great. It's been a while for me too, but I mean, if you want to do your own personal Supergirl Radio rewind, you can revisit that. But before we get into the Legion Cruiser and do some time traveling back to 2016, we need to get to
the news.
Well, we have a big piece of news today, actually. Marks the 85th anniversary of Superman. You know, Kara's cousin. The Man of Steel made his first appearance in Action Comics #1, which was on April 18th, 1938.
Yeah, so
38.
a lot of folks online on the social media today were sharing Superman history factoids and things they like about Superman and things about the origin of Superman. So DC was making this a pretty big deal because it is a big deal. I mean, Action Comics #1 birthed the superhero genre. So we would not be doing Supergirl Radio today if Siegel and Schuster had not created Superman in Action Comics #1 from 1938. So that's a pretty big deal. It should also be noted that this was not just Superman's anniversary. This is also Lois Lane's 85th anniversary because
Ooh.
she also appears in Action Comics #1. So I just always like to remember that. People sometimes forget. I like that DC Comics did recognize that it was Lois Lane's 85th anniversary as well. So just want to put that out there. It's not just about Superman.
It's not just about Superman.
Lois Lane is in the mix too. So I I was laughing today because everybody was celebrating Superman, and I was wondering, I kind of thought, there's some things to like about Superman as a Supergirl fan, and then there's some things that sort of bother me about the way Superman has treated Supergirl before.
It would have been great if they did like a montage, but it's all like the worst things he's done in like the Silver Age. Happy birthday, Superman! Then you see him like zooming away from Kara, and she's like, "Wait, I really need some emotional support.
Don't leave me in this orphanage. Why are you abandoning me here? Why do I have to be here and not get adopted because I have to help you do superhero stuff?"
Or it like zooms in on Superman. He looks at Mon-El and he's like, "I found you on a Monday. Your name is now Mon-El." And Mon-El's like, "That's sir, excuse me, I'm so sorry. That's not actually my name. Your name is now Mon-El."
So I was trying not to think too much about airing my grievances with the shadier parts of Superman.
We'll save that for like for our Festivus episode.
Yes, we can do a Festivus episode just about airing our grievances about Superman. But no, I think that's great. Everybody was celebrating the 85th anniversary of Superman, which is really awesome. He's been around a long time. It feels like longer though. Like it feels like it should be longer than 85 years. Although
does.
I haven't lived that long, so I don't know. I haven't experienced that amount of time. So who knows really how that
1938.
feels.
It was the first issue. That is wild. That is so long ago.
That was before World War II.
Oh my
That
God.
that was before I Love Lucy, I think. I mean, definitely before I Love Lucy. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely before I Love.
I'm
That's
trying to think of
crazy.
like major landmark things in history that would have
So
come after that.
he's been around for a long while.
Been been around a long, long time. He's seen some things. So if you are interested in Superman, check out a lot of the things that were coming out today. So happy anniversary, happy 85th anniversary to the Man of Steel. We joke about our airing of grievances, but he did give us Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, so that is a good thing. So we just wanted to recognize that he has turned 85 today.
Car's cousin is having a moment, and I know that he doesn't get a lot of attention, but I think we should give it to him today because this is his special day. I know usually it's Supergirl, Supergirl, Supergirl. No one remembers Superman, right? Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Wouldn't it be amazing if that was true?
So, yes, happy 85th anniversary, Superman. We wanted to make sure that someone recognized you today and gave you some accolades for the things that you have done, even though nobody ever talks about them. All right. Well, I guess we should get into the Legion Cruiser and
Okay.
go back to 2016. So we got to do some time traveling.
Buckle my
Put
seatbelt.
on the seatbelts and let's do some time traveling. All right. So we are now in March 28th, 2016. So here is the official description of World's Finest. Quote, Kara gains a new ally when the lightning fast superhero, The Flash, played by Grant Gustin, suddenly appears from an alternate universe and helps Kara battle Siobhan, aka Silver Banshee, and Livewire in exchange for her help in finding a way to return him home. Unquote. So, Morgan, we have not talked about this episode in a very long time. I
Yes.
mean, that's now 7 years ago
Oh
that
God.
we talked about it. So,
I feel as old as Superman.
so we could we could talk about a lot of different things. Obviously, lots of things going on. But I'm curious, what is the first like when you were rewatching it? What was your thought after you finished the episode?
I remember just thinking, man, it would have been really fun to have the Flash on this show a lot more often. Like,
Yeah,
if he had been like, I don't even not maybe not a cast member, but if he had been on the show like a lot more, the Melissa Benoist and Grant Gustin have such great chemistry. They have so much fun together. Like you can just kind of tell it comes through the screen. Those two characters play really well off of each other. And I just remember thinking, like, man, I wish we could have I wish we could have kept the Flash. Sorry, sir, you don't get to go back. You're too fun.
he was great, and one of the remarkable things in my viewing of it is that he comes to Earth 38 and he gets into the DEO and he's like doing algorithms and things on the computer and he's figuring out things by himself and contributing to the super team. Of course, in the Flash, he has this whole Flash team that he works with who do a lot of the things for him. So it was nice to see him get to be smart and capable and a heroic character on his own who had actually been through a lot of things himself and came to Kara with some wisdom that he could share with her. And I agree. I wish they had done more Supergirl Flash team ups. The Flash and Green Arrow did a lot of team ups together,
Yeah.
but I think maybe the Flash and Supergirl could have had more adventures together. I think that would have been a lot of fun because they did play off each other really well. And I think the dynamic between the two of them was a good one in terms of complementing their powers and their personalities. So it is disappointing. I did want him to come back for season 6 of Supergirl, but we did not.
I know. I was
get
really
him.
sad that because of all the COVID stuff, I
Yeah.
think they probably would have done one last crossover if it wasn't for all of the COVID situation. Because it would have been really nice to see our good pals, our super friends back together again.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Morgan, on the way Barry comes to Earth 38. He just kind of goes so fast that he goes to another Earth. What did you think about his explanation of the multiverse and how he gets to Supergirl's Earth and how he explained it to them? What were your thoughts on
I was just like, sure. Seems reasonable. Sounds solid. Given some of the stuff that seems to happen on the Flash, and again, we've established that you and I are many seasons behind, but it doesn't
So
seem
many.
any wackier than some of the weird stuff that they do with the timeline and with this and with that. Like he runs so fast, he like goes back into the past and like destroys the future like with some regularity. So the idea of him like he changed like the baby that a couple had at one point. So
He did.
Whoops.
Diggle went from having a daughter to a son. Was that
something
it?
like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is not out of character for him. So his whole thing is like, I'm running real fast. Sometimes the consequences are going to be bad of the how fast I run, and like when he was like, yes, I ran so fast that I went through the worlds, and like here's a world and here's a world, and they're not touching, but they're either at the same time, and like, you know, I just went from here to here, and I was like, it's fine. No one, it's fine. We all accept this. We all accept this from you, Barry. It's cool. I feel like, you know, this made more sense to me than like a lot of the later Supergirl storylines where it's like, you like hold this decorative soap in your hand. It is all of the world's love. Sure. What happens if I yeet that into the soap? It seems like it would be bad. So, you know, in comparison, I fully just accepted the explanation.
Yeah, I always laugh because Barry, multiple times within Grant Gustin's portrayal of him, he has to explain the multiverse to various people. So he's always going up to this like whiteboard and having to draw the worlds over again. Like he has to do it many times.
So
And
good.
and here in this episode, he didn't even bother to like write out what each world was or how they connected. He just drew a bunch of circles on the board. And I was like, that's the laziest explanation of the multiverse that I can think of.
I know.
You just drew a couple of circles. You didn't even like write out explanations. You just drew a bunch of circles. And I guess everybody just understood it.
Everybody was just like, yeah, seems reasonable.
But I appreciated that Wynn was really excited about it. He was like, this is great. I love this.
There's at one point where I can't remember what they're talking about, but Barry is like explaining something to them, and Kara goes like this to Wynn, and Wynn goes like this back to Kara, and James looks over like he's never wanted to like nope out of a room harder in his entire life. And I just thought that was such an amazing moment. They're like, oh my God, isn't this like so cool? And James was like, what's cool about it? I don't know what's cool about it. James just muttering to himself in a corner. So yeah, no, I really liked how quickly Kara took to Barry. Like just immediately was like, you can do superpowers. I can do superpowers. Are we best friends?
Yeah, it was nice to have Kara have a friend outside of the Super Friends, which was nice. I also like that with Kate Kane, which I always liked and appreciated about Batwoman, is she got to have a friend outside of the people she normally interacted with. So it was really, really fun. So I guess one of the things that we could talk about in terms of the Kara and Barry stuff is that they have teamed up at the right moment because another pair of people have teamed up, and that would be Livewire and Siobhan Smythe, who has now transformed herself into a comic book supervillain.
Yeah.
So let's maybe break it down.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack. So let's, I guess, tackle the Silver Banshee portion of it first. So did you I guess did you buy the Silver Banshee origin story with the curse in her family and she has to kill the person who has wronged her in order for the banshee to go away. Did you buy all of that? Did you think that was a reasonable explanation for what's happening to Siobhan?
No. I did like that when Siobhan goes to see was like her aunt. They're talking, and her aunt is like, "Well, you know about our banshee curse," and Siobhan's like, "I definitely did not know that. No one mentioned that one to me." And she's like, "Don't you think there's a reason we're all so unlikable?" And Siobhan's like, "I'm sorry. Did you just say I'm unlikable?"
Siobhan did not have any indication that she was not.
Siobhan's like, "What? Me? Everyone loves me. That's why I'm consistently getting fired." I thought that was just really funny. It was like, we have a curse. That's why we're all so unpleasant. Lady, I
and
don't
all
think that's the
murderers
reason.
apparently.
I don't think that's the reason, lady. I'm sorry. So I think there's some other stuff going on. I think the Better Business Bureau should look into your crystal sales. I like that she's like, "And just write the name of your beloved in a notebook like 5 times." And as the lady like walks out the door, like Siobhan looks at her like, "What?" And she's like, "Nothing, I made that up." So good. Love
real
this lady.
con artist.
Can we keep the aunt around, honestly? I like her energy. She's like, "I know no one likes me, and I'm just gonna sell you a bunch of cheap crystals."
And I murdered my husband. I
And
guess.
sure, I murdered my husband, but you know what? Had to get rid of that curse somehow, right? Am I right? Ladies, am I right? I want her to become like a motivational speaker. "Where my murderers at?" she goes as she does her TED Talk.
Yeah, the curse comes from her family, and it's not brought out of her until she is wronged or threatened, and so that's how it comes out after she is disgraced from Catco and has her little time up on the roof with Win. So I'm actually curious, what did you think about, because we still have CBS money here. So
Yes.
what did you think about Silver Banshee's powers and how they were displayed?
I think this one was an interesting one because you could really see the CBS money in some places and then not so much in others. But we'll get to that later, perhaps, mayhaps. But no, I thought her powers were pretty cool. Her like scream powers were pretty neat, like the way that they did it visually, because otherwise you just have an actress screaming and everybody going, "Oh no." So you needed to have those like sound waves to show you that like
Yes.
something was happening. And I think that there's a moment where a Supergirl is like holding her ears, and then like she looks at her hand and there's blood, and she's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah,
So
it's powerful enough to make Supergirl's ears bleed.
yeah, one would think that if it's powerful enough, I think you probably don't want to go down this rabbit hole, because one think if it's powerful enough to make Supergirl's ears bleed, why aren't like the people around her's heads just exploding?
That's
Why
true.
isn't it just like a
Don't think about
Cronenberg
it.
film?
Don't think about it too hard.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Everyone's fine. Wynn's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. I also thought, I know we had this working theory, this active theory, that Cat Grant knows, and she never stopped knowing. And I
Yes.
think if there's been one episode that's made me convinced of it, it's this episode, because Kara fully gets yeeted out a window. And then when she comes back, Cat Grant is just like, "Yeah, I knew you'd be fine. I'm not worried. I wasn't worried about you." And Kara was like, "Could you have been a little bit?" Kara's like, "Oh, I got rescued." And Cat was like, "Obviously, you're here. Anyway, moving on." Moving on. I'm taking a personal take. Get out of here, you monster. But I think Cat watched her go out the window, just shrugged and like went about her day. And I think it's because she knows she's Supergirl. So she's like, she was never in any danger. Like, whatever, it's fine.
That is so funny. Yeah, Kat knows who Barry is immediately. She knows that Siobhan is basically, I guess she knows Siobhan in the Silver Banshee getup but she already knew that Siobhan had developed these powers because Siobhan once again shows up in Catco, uses her powers against Kara there. So I don't know why. Maybe Siobhan was down in the lobby of Catco, whatever the lobby is, and
Because she lives there now.
and she uses the Silver Banshee scream on all the security guards there, and then just takes the elevator up. That's the only explanation I can think of to explain why she has now once again regained access into Catco. I mean, she has been taken out of that place so many times.
It's wild. It's so truly wild. Where are the security? Do they exist?
I mean,
I think Kat needs to start being nicer to her security. Let's be honest. I think they watched Siobhan come in and they went, you know, didn't she chop me yesterday? Maybe I didn't see her. They looked the other way. They let Siobhan waltz right in. They're like, I'm sick of this, her attitude. One time I used her elevator one time. I never heard the end of it. You know, I bet like maybe she doesn't tip that great around the holidays. This is why you got to be nice to your security guards. You got to tip your security guards.
She really does, because Kat has several ex-employees who are out for her blood.
Several people want to kill her, all of which worked for her. And she has done no self-reflection, by the way, about why this could possibly be. At no point did she think, is it me? She's like, no, definitely not me.
To your point, she probably still believes that Kara is Supergirl, and since Kara is always with her, she probably is like, well, I've got a security guard who is invulnerable and can withstand bullets and can fly me out of here if I need to. So what does she care?
I love that Kat thinks of Supergirl as like her own personal security guard that she has like on call 24/7. She's like, oh, sure. I hire the cheapest security money can buy because I have Supergirl and she'll always be around. Right, Kira? Car's like, what? Not me. So ordinary. Kool-Aid Man's out of the room.
So I'm curious about what you thought was not high budget from CBS here. Was it this
possibly have not been of the highest quality on this here episode? Could it have been the makeup, perhaps?
Maybe.
Could it have been the Halloween store level? It's like you go into your half abandoned mall and like that's kind of the look and feel of what's going on with Silver Banshee.
Yeah, I want to know what the conversation that Livewire had with her was like, because Livewire suggests that, yeah, okay, maybe we'll both go after Kat together, but you need to change your outfit. And this is what I guess, did Livewire come up with it? Or do you think Siobhan was like, no, this is the look I want to go with? I don't know how this outfit came to be.
That outfit is there's like just so much happening there. Like the outfit itself is kind of uninspiring. Both of them look like they survived a zombie apocalypse, but like not unscathed, right? Like not unscathed. Like some stuff has happened to them during the zombie apocalypse. Siobhan looks like she's kind of Mad Max Fury Road it herself. Like she's like like she should be on the back of like a truck with a fire guitar, like screaming. I just really don't know what's going. Like I don't know what's going on. Why the gloves? The gloves don't really make much sense. Like the gloves would maybe make more sense for like Leslie, who is a like electric person.
Yeah,
she's just got some like full length, like formal, like gloves on for some reason, like elbow length gloves. Why Siobhan?
Well, I guess you need some of the silver. I mean, she's Silver Banshee,
but why wouldn't her outfit just be silver? Also, okay, I have like a series of questions. So in the episode, they were not super interested in how she got this look, to be honest. Like I have a feeling that there were like pages of the script that were just cut for time. And they're like, no one's going to question why she suddenly looks like a member of Kiss now. But I could maybe buy that Leslie was like, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool. Just wait. Just let me try it. Just let me try it. It's going to be so cool. What if I like did some contouring, but it was black like a skull? And Siobhan was like, oh my God, it's so nice to have friends to do your makeup. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a little bit of an off-putting person. That's what my aunt says about me. But like, you seem really into it. And Leslie's like, I love it, girl. You're going to look fantastic. Okay, I buy all that, right? I buy that. I see that scene in my head.
Yeah.
Where and when did the wig come into it? Like, at what point? At what point during the makeover did she go like, your normal, beautiful, regular hair is not good enough for this look. Now, I happen to have this silver wig that I've just been holding on to, even though I'm mostly just an electric person now. I mostly exist in the internet on Reddit trolling people. And I come out of
Blackfire would do that. She would troll people.
right? Like I come out of the occasional light socket just to have fun. But I happen to have this wig on me. I stopped at a Spirit Halloween on the way, and that's how I got all my arts and crafts. And I just want you to put it on. I know you don't want to, but try it and see how it feels. Like what was the wig? Like, why didn't they just like, as part of her powers coming, like suddenly her hair turns a different color or something?
That is what I was thinking. Was
Right?
that you have to make more of a leap to explain it away as like they created this look. Whereas you maybe just when like her powers activate, that's when this look takes over and she becomes the Banshee. I think that's a better way to go. Maybe that would require more special effects or CGI to have it sort of like come over her while she is while she's doing things. So I don't know.
I mean, I think it could have been cool if the hair was like showing her transition into Banshee. So like as the episode goes and like she starts like losing it more and more, like her hair starts like from the bottom, like maybe there's like she notices like, oh my God, am I getting grays? Like she's obviously like she's the kind of person who would be freaked out about that. And then it gets like more and more gray. And then suddenly it's silver by the time that she's like fully embraced her Banshee-ness. Like that would have been kind of fun character progression, and it wouldn't make me have to think about where did they get the wig? Why would they put the wig on? Like there are just so many questions in her dramatic makeover that I guess were answered by her dramatic makeover. But
yeah, I like the idea also of what you suggested about her slowly becoming the Banshee. I think that would have been really cool. Yeah, it's sort of it's tough for me to go with the look. Like I like that she looks like Silver Banshee, that how Silver Banshee should look, but I think the explanation to get her there could have been a little better. So, do we have any other thoughts about Silver Banshee's look before we get out? Because I think we should end with a boardroom or ballroom. But since we got here, so any other thoughts before we go out?
it's not a great look, the Silver Banshee look. Let's be honest. Leslie was like not really like painting with all the colors of the wind there. She was like, I've seen a skull one time, but I don't have a phone. I short circuit them all. So I'm just gonna like work from like muscle memory. Whatever I'm gonna do is gonna be amazing though. It's gonna be amazing, Siobhan. Don't worry. And Siobhan is like, I'm a little worried. Why do I need the color contacts? She's like, it's a look, it's a vibe, it's really good. It's really gonna go. It's gonna go along with my survived the apocalypse, still pretty cool kind of look. Like we're gonna look so good as like a super villain pair. Siobhan like just really needed that to hear that at that moment. And she was like, I just love that we're best friends. And I think this is a good cautionary tale. Like if you have a friend and you look at their outfit and there's scorch marks on it, and that friend says to you, I've got some ideas about how to update your look. Maybe you just say, you know what? I love the scorch looks for you. That's so perfect for you. I'm going in a different direction, in a more normal direction. Because it's so funny because she's got like a pound of weird skull makeup on. Meanwhile, Livewire is like, yeah, I just look like this, my normal face. Why didn't she have any skull makeup on? Siobhan was like, okay, now we do you. And Livewire was like, no.
To be fair, Leslie probably can't wear a lot of nice clothes when she does her zappy thing with her electricity because she's just shooting fire out of her hands. So the scorched look is just her thing. She can't do anything about it.
It's just her vibe.
It's just how things are going to go with her. All right. Well, I think that's going to take us out of boardroom or ballroom. Not an official one, but we're going to, I guess, maybe make it an official one now that we've discussed their looks.
And this has been
Lena Luthor, boardroom or ballroom.
All right, I figured we'd get the Siobhan look out of the way before we get into the actual discussion of the Silver Banshee stuff, because I was curious about your thoughts, Morgan, on how everything goes down. The two sides. There's the good side that has teamed up, and the evil villains, the evil Taylor Swift squad, has teamed up. And what did you think about that? Livewire and Silver Banshee kidnap Cat. And things get pretty serious.
It does get pretty serious. Like, yeah, they kidnap Cat. They go back into the office. Again, Cat is like, I have no security, so this is not surprising to me in any way. I've accepted this. I'm going to just die. It's cool. I like when is it Win or James that's like, you have to get out if you're like coming straight for you, and she's like, nah, I'm fine. Oh, it's Carr earlier in the episode who's like, oh my god, Livewire is out. Siobhan is still mad. Remember when I yeeted out the window? That wasn't great for me personally. You should try to protect yourself. And she's like, it's fine. It's cool. So of course, when they show up, she's like, oh, well, this again. And James tries to like help out and gets like yelled across the room. So that wasn't great for James either.
Yeah, Kat seemed to think this was a pretty normal thing. She's been through this before with Livewire. She thinks she can handle it. But things get really serious for Kat. She's Livewire sort of makes fun of her for begging for her life, but she's in that moment. I think she thinks she might die because she starts to think about her sons, and that's one of the most serious moments I think that at least I can think of out of Kat in the run of Supergirl, is that she maybe thought something bad was going to happen to her because she started to think about her sons. So that made me think that Kat really thought that they might kill her, and they did have the intention to do so. But thankfully, Supergirl and the Flash showed up in time. But maybe now that I think about it, maybe Kat was just trying to delay them until Supergirl and the Flash came. Maybe she was like...
To be fair, when Supergirl shows up, she goes, it took you long enough. And
Yeah.
Supergirl has this amazing moment where she goes, really? I love every now and then when like Kara just like can't take Cat Grant for like another second. She's just like, you are on my last nerve, lady. So good.
Yeah, so that is something that may be the case, that maybe Cat was just playing the sort of scared kitty cat, for lack of a better term, to maybe buy them some more time until they got there, and then they could take Livewire and Silver Banshee on for themselves and get her out. So I'm confused though as to why. So there's a whole thing in this episode of Supergirl sort of rushing in, and the Flash is like, we need a plan. We need to figure these things out. And Supergirl doesn't seem to remember how she defeated Livewire in their first encounter.
No, she doesn't.
And I was a little confused about why she didn't just immediately take Livewire to like a pool.
Yeah, it seems a little strange that she didn't remember. I liked all the tag team action with Barry, although It did make me laugh when they're in the abandoned warehouse, as Barry says, all villains love those.
They do.
Just really great, aesthetics. They just love the aesthetics of the abandoned warehouse.
You have a lot of room. It's
A lot of
very roomy in
room.
there.
It echoes when you're giving your
The
supervillain
acoustics.
speech. The
Oh.
acoustics, chef's kiss, beautiful. But Barry's like, okay, I'm gonna get this like electric person by running around her over and over with my like super runny electric, and then I'm gonna like throw that electric right at her, and of course she just absorbs it. It just makes her stronger. And I was like, Barry, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, bud?
He's like a genius.
He's very smart.
And a scientist.
He's a CSI. He took great pains to tell people about that. And yet, what is he doing? What is he doing here? And he goes, "Uh-oh." Like, come on, Barry.
I did not expect this.
That moment did actually make me laugh, because I was like, I mean, she's an electric person. You knew that, and then you threw it at her anyway.
Yeah. So I was a little disappointed that I guess if they had just taken Livewire to a pool or to the ocean, the episode would have ended much quicker. And so you have to find a way to drag it out. I understand that, but it does make them look a little dumb and forgetful.
The other thing is that, like, technically neither of them won that battle with Livewire and Silver Banshee, because Barry was out of commission somewhere.
Right.
And Kara was sort of down a little bit. And trying to get back up, but she was like, they had taken her down. The villains are ultimately taken down by like a firefighter who's like, dude, I'm just gonna hose her off. Is that chill? Like, I thought that was really funny. I was like, so they had this this is the first time that they teamed up. They teamed up to fight these two villains, and even with the team up, neither of them saved the day, actually. It's a good thing that fireman was like wandering through with his hose. Come on.
So what do you think about that? Because this is the culmination, this is the end, I guess, of the arc of Supergirl's Red K Kara situation, where she's scared the people of National City, and she's kind of lost their trust, and she's been trying to regain it. She's been putting together things from IKEA for these families, hoping that would help.
It's not worth it, Kara. Just give up.
Look, I would consider that a great favor. I would be like, Supergirl, we're cool now. We are so cool. You put this thing from. I don't even like to go into IKEA. So if Supergirl went in, purchased things for me in IKEA, then assembled it, I'd have been like, we're fine. I forgive you for that weird time when you tried to kill everybody. That's fine. We're good now. But nothing has seemed to work. And with this resolution of the firemen saving the day with the water, it seems like the people of National City have now forgiven her, because she saves everybody. Or she actually didn't save everybody.
No.
She saved the helicopter pilot.
She did. I guess
and that was kind of it.
If the helicopter had crashed, it probably would have killed quite a few people down below.
Maybe a few.
Yeah.
Some people probably would have run away.
Yeah, it probably would have gotten some people.
It would have taken a while.
She saved quite a few people. I love the continuity, by the way, of Leslie hating helicopters, though.
Of course. Yes.
That was great.
It's a nice callback.
I hate that helicopter. They have not been kind to her in the past. I like the idea of her winning back the trust of National City. And I like that it wasn't like one at like the next episode that everybody was like into Supergirl again. It took a while after she, did her little reign of terror and decided that she should be the king of National City. It took a little while for her to win back over the trust of the people. I probably would have been nice in the team up episode if the team up had ultimately taken down the villains, but I did like the idea of like the regular people rushing to protect Supergirl and ultimately helping Supergirl save the day. it was just kind of a tough one for Barry, who wasn't even there during that part. Tough break for him, for sure.
Yeah, I like the idea that sometimes just the regular people of National City who and real heroes. I hate to say real heroes because Supergirl is a hero, but heroes in our real world, like firefighters, would come in to save the day and play a part because they are heroes in real life. And so I like the idea of that. I did think though that the helicopter thing was a little over the top. Like, yes, she saved the helicopter, but then you hear like these little voices over the crowd, like, she saved us. And they're so, I'm like, she saved a helicopter, but it wasn't like she like saved the world. It wasn't, it was kind of overblown, I thought,
She
upon
also like
rewatch.
saves people like a lot from like specific situations, or like things blowing up or like giant things falling. And in those situations, people are mostly like, thanks, bye. And then this is the one where they're like, we all have to band together and we're all like stand in front of her. I was like, I don't know, people. I don't know if that's like the smartest decision you're making. And like that one lady who was like, I am the ambassador of the people, the normal people. And I speak for them. I am Lorax and I speak for the trees. It was just like that lady was like making some big promises that I'm not sure the other people. She was like, well, we have to protect Supergirl. And the other people were like, oh, is that what we're, it doesn't seem like we're like equipped for that though. Just here, I just thought we were doing like a thing where we were like gonna cheer her up, like a hope thing. That's not what this is. That one lady was like, I will kill you.
I just assumed this was connection
energy.
to Supergirl, so I thought it was just like a hope thing.
Yeah.
But
Ooh, oh, is that what's going on here? I'm so sorry. They like start walking backwards. Oops, wrong line. I wanted to be in like the hype area, not the danger zone.
yeah, I thought it was a little over the top, but it did get the job done. Everyone in National City seems to be back on the Supergirl bandwagon, so that is a good thing for her. Although at the end of this episode, though, doesn't mean a lot because everyone in National City is mind controlled. So it's kind of short lived that everybody loves Supergirl again because now nobody knows anything about Supergirl. So I guess
This happens to National City a lot.
yes, the citizens of National City have to deal with mind control and people wanting to control their brains.
Very susceptible to mind control here in National City. Someone's got a doodad or a thingy mabobber, and everyone's just like, okay.
Especially when Luthers are involved, which they were doing this even before the Luthers were involved. So
yeah.
Just a real good reason not to live in National City. But so this comes at the very inopportune time for Kara. Kara is taking Barry Allen's advice to speed things up with her relationship with James. And so she invites James over to her apartment. They're going to have a little conversation about multiverses, and it's going to be a metaphor for their relationship. And she takes the brave action to kiss James and share her feelings for him. And he does not respond to her.
No.
And so I'm curious, Morgan, what are your thoughts on that awkward moment?
It was really weird. I felt really bad for her. I think had that happened to me in my personal life, like I wouldn't be able to save the city because I would have tunneled myself into the center of the earth and I would not have returned. If I'm being honest, I'd be like, I live here now. It's warm and cozy, and no one can reject me in a really strange way. I liked the whole episode where Cat Grant is like, you get him, girl, like giving her advice from her apparently her like relationship book, which had some insane name where she was like, okay, so it wasn't a great book, but it was still on Oprah's best of book list, which I thought sounds right.
Yeah.
I love Cat Grant, romance whisperer. She's like, listen, I'm gonna give you advice. And then she like opens her book and she's like, keep him wanting more, I think is what I'm saying.
Yes. I really enjoyed her cupcake metaphor, where it was very obviously a cupcake about the cupcake was James, essentially. So there was a lot of her kind of butting into Kara's relationship with James. I felt in kind of an inappropriate, unprofessional way. Even Kara was like, "I don't know about this. I don't feel like I want to talk to you about this." But I did feel bad for Kara in that moment with James, because she was really going for it, and James didn't respond, and she didn't know how to respond, and then she started to put it together that everyone was mind controlled and marching in the streets for some reason. So great job, Uncle Non. Really ruining it for your niece
None.
here.
What a time for this to kick into effect. Truly the worst. The amount of secondhand embarrassment I felt in that scene, I can't even put it on a scale. It was truly the worst I've ever felt for Cara, and like some truly bad things have happened to her. And I don't know if anything was as bad as being like, "Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you hate me now? Why
Did you
are you
like it
talking?
too much?
Did you like it too much?" And made me laugh a lot. And then he when he just leaves, just like, could you imagine? You have been working up the nerve to tell your crush you like him for a year, a full year, and you feel like, I think he likes me too. I
Yeah.
think that what I'm picking up is what he's putting down, and I think that we're both on the same page. And then you kiss him, and he stares at you with no expression, turns around, walks out your door and leaves. What would you do? You would have to retreat from human civilization. You would have to go out and like become a monk somewhere on like a cliff top. Like the next episode, we just see Kara. She's just in the dirt that Cat Grant is in later, just like communing with nature and the
Yeah.
environment. I don't know how you recover from
You
what
have
just
to
happened to
exile
her.
yourself. Yeah. Oh man, it was brutal. So I guess we have now entered into the Myriad
It's
storyline
happening.
coming to a conclusion. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but now it's kicked in. Things are happening. Not in this episode. We gotta wait. But
Not in this
there's the
one.
tease that things have been implemented. Myriad has been kicked on, turned on, and Uncle Non is up to no good.
Can't
Which
trust him.
means if Uncle Non's around, Indigo
Uh-oh.
is coming back.
That hand acting is coming back.
So we'll have to continue our time traveling shenanigans to see what that is all about. So, were there any other things, Morgan, about this episode that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to discuss?
I forgot to mention the ice cream moment because I now feel like it's so iconic
It is.
in the universe of Supergirl and the Flash. But that moment where he's trying to explain that he is super fast, and instead of explaining, he just goes and gets everybody ice cream, and the look of pure joy on Kara's face. Like these are the reasons I think that everybody loves this episode so much. Like, incredible makeup effects aside, and like having really fun villains, but like the relationship between Kara and Barry in this episode is so good. It's like you realize how rare it is on these superhero shows to like that two characters just kind of like are having fun and and liking each other. Usually it's a lot of like Oliver Queen being like, I have to save this city, and like like I would love to smile, but I'm all out of smiles. I only had one for the month. And just the combination of Kara and Barry, they have very similar energies, and that like they enjoy being superheroes, and they like helping people, and like they immediately like each other. And I just thought that uh dynamic between them was so refreshing, and definitely made me be like, "Ugh, I wish we could have gotten." I mean, we got a couple of crossovers with them, but I wish we could have gotten more crossovers with just them, because in later seasons we get like a bunch of these like full scale crossovers of like Earth X and Crisis, and honestly, I just want more of Kara and Barry hanging out. Like that's all I really want.
We did get one more,
Is
which
it the
was
musical one, right?
the duet
Yes.
episode from season 2. That was 2 episode crossover. So there was one on the Flash, and then there was one on Supergirl, if I remember correctly. So we did get a little more of that, but I wish they had continued, like maybe once a season, like just
Yeah.
have Barry check in with Kara.
Just have like the one Barry Kara like crossover episode where they just hang out and and catch up on what's good and race maybe they do a
Yeah.
race through the desert and they go to a different they accidentally break through to a different planet and then they make some friends. I don't know. Anything those two characters could do pretty much anything and I would watch it and be entertained. Like their dynamic together is just so fun and cute. And I always thought it was kind of a missed opportunity that there weren't more just like Kara and Barry episodes where they just got to hang out and be friends.
Yeah, this was a big deal when it first aired in 2016 because this was Supergirl on CBS and The Flash was from the CW. And so even though they were in the same theoretical DC universe, they were now crossing over cross networks and cross universes. That was a big deal in 2016, and I remember thinking this opens up a lot of doors now that this has happened because she could cross over. Supergirl could cross over with Green Arrow and hang out with Green Arrow and Black Canary and blah blah blah. But then of course the show ended in season 1 on CBS and then season 2 picked up on the CW. So you didn't need that kind of we travel to another Earth. It just once they got to the CW, they found a way to do it with like the I forget what they called them, the portal breaches that Kara had. I forget what it was called. It had a name. That device she had where they
would just create like a little portal so she could like hop through and be like, hey guys.
So they didn't have to deal with like, Barry had to run so fast that he went to another Earth. They found a way to do that, so it was easier for Kara to transport back and forth into the different Earths. But they were able to do it a little easier once Supergirl got on the CW. But this was a really big deal for them to cross over at this point in time. And so it was, and New Rachel reminds me, the interdimensional extrapolator.
Right.
I remember it having
right.
an E in the name. So thank you so much for that fact check in the Live and Wired chat. So really appreciate that. So yeah, I love this episode. I think it's one of the better episodes of season 1. Wish there had been more of the Flash with Kara. So this was a great way to establish them as friends and get to see them hang out with different superheroes and for Barry to come over and experience aliens and spaceships and things like that was really fun.
I forgot the moment where he tries to take a picture of her spaceship and she's gonna let him and then Lucy comes up and is like, what is happening? And immediately it all turns like, Win, what are you doing? Of course he shouldn't take the picture there. Like they just all immediately turn like it's Win's fault. Win's holding the camera like, I didn't what? So good. That made me laugh so much as he was like in front of the spaceship starting to pose.
Barry would do that all the time. He went to Earth 2 and he was like, hey, I'm taking a picture on Earth 2. Like,
it's so good.
Yeah, so lots of fun stuff. Well, before we get into our next section, which is snap judgments, let's revisit some things in the chat, get some thoughts. So New Rachel says Supergirl's ears, New Rachel thinks that the sonic scream from Silver Banshee made Supergirl's ears bleed because it counts as magic, and since Supergirl is vulnerable to magic, it would harm her. And I think that's a good theory. I guess a curse is magic. In essence, a curse would be a magical thing. So that makes sense to me. Although they never talk about that really on the CW Supergirl, that Supergirl would be vulnerable to magic. That's not something that they really play with too much, although she has trouble with like Mixes Pitalik and Nixley, but they don't specify it's because she is having trouble with magic. Let's see. Hagelblast says in the chat that in the audio commentary on the CBS website back in the day, the showrunner said at this point they hadn't made a final decision whether or not Kat knew.
Ooh.
Hagelblast putting a fact check in there.
Interesting.
Maybe the showrunners hadn't. Or I guess there were multiple showrunners, I think, at that time.
Yeah, I think
That might have been Ali Adler. Was Andrew Kreisberg a
it was
showrunner?
definitely Ali Adler. I don't know. I mean, Berlanti was involved, but like how involved with like his 500 shows could he be?
I guess they were executive producers, but I know Ali Adler for sure was showrunner in season 1. That's interesting. I guess they were still just kind of playing it both ways, where like you could read into it if you wanted to, but then maybe they hadn't made a final decision on that. But I still think based on what she says, it seems like she knew. Seem Gutier 74 says, question, with Barry's experience on Earth 1, Earth 38 is defining what is a metahuman. For sure, Livewire is a metahuman. Is Banshee considered a metahuman?
Ooh.
I think they talk about that in the episode. I
don't know that would she be, because it was like a curse. So it did, to whoever said it earlier, it did seem more like a magic thing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't in the woods of of Newfoundland, sniffing a empty branch, but it did feel like magic to me.
Yeah, I think like Livewire is a metahuman because something happened to her. She had come into something that created an electrical charge that sort of made her superpowered. But I don't think that Banshee's issue was genetic. It was passed down through her family lineage. So I think that's a different thing.
It seems like it.
That to me seems different. Like for Livewire and most metahumans, like even with Barry, like something happened to him. It was an action that occurred to him that made him the Flash. But with Banshee, it's just Banshee was gonna have the Banshee no matter what, because she had that family lineage. So that's a good question. Let's see. Okay, so there's a lot of comments in the live chat about the wigs. We will get to the wigs during Snap Judgments. Let's see. Aaron says, has anyone seen the full Supergirl farewell tribute, which you can watch, I believe, on the season 6 Blu-ray.
Ooh.
It might also be on YouTube as well. Aaron says they realized that a lot of the main characters were mind controlled into jumping off a building. Well, I'm glad they at least acknowledged it.
It's happened to quite a few of them.
That did happen. And spoiler alert, maybe for the future, it might happen in the next episode. I don't know. That's my guess. I'm predicting that it might happen in the next episode.
It could. Maybe
Supergirl
something
Radio Rewind.
Maybe something unbelievably tragic might happen.
Like the most tragic, like one of the greatest tragedies.
Maybe a tragedy that we have frankly never recovered from.
Literally never recovered from. Yeah, so I'm glad they at least acknowledge that and take accountability for that. Let's see. Hagelblast also says Leslie used to work at Catco. She would probably remember Kat's kids being around the office sometimes, and this is in reference to us talking about how Kat was kind of I wish I could say it a better way, but it's sort of begging for her life to protect her kids. But yeah, so that's an interesting thought that Leslie maybe met her kids.
That's a good point. She worked there. Yeah.
Let's see. Aaron also says, was this the episode where Kat said something like, "You look like a hit CW show"? Yeah, Aaron, she says something. Oh, I might have written it down in my my notes. She says she calls Wynn, Barry, James, and Kara the quote attractive yet non-threatening racially diverse cast of a CW show, unquote. So yeah, that is that episode.
It's funny too because obviously they are like episodes away from becoming a CW show at this point. And they don't know it. They think they're going to have they think this CBS money is going to last forever. We got a bad piece of news for them.
Yeah, so that is the episode in which Kat makes one of the most correct observations that she possibly could make about those characters. Well, I guess maybe we should, before we get out of this discussion, maybe we should get into some snap judgments.
In the game of Snap Judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so our first snap judgment is better Cat Grant name for the Flash: the Whoosh, the Red Streak, or the Blur?
Now, we should note that Kat seemed to like the Blur.
Kat was leaning towards the Blur. That was the one that she was liking.
That was her choice. I don't know. I gravitate towards the Whoosh. I think the Blur is too much like Smallville, because Clark Kent at one point went with the Blur. He might have also used the Red Streak.
I think
it
was like
the
red blur, the red blue blur, or something.
Yeah, oh, that's what it was.
Really weird.
Yeah, the red blue blur, I think is what it was. Yeah, so
not an inspiring superhero name.
It was pretty stupid. Eventually getting to Superman is much better. So the Red Streak and the Blur kind of give me Smallville references. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the Whoosh. At least with the Whoosh, you get like a sound effect.
Yeah,
it sort of gives me like I can feel it when I talk about it. So I think I'm gonna go with the Whoosh.
I also have to go with the Whoosh because again, the Blur did bring me back to Smallville. Maybe not my favorite seasons of that show either. And and I think that the Whoosh is just fun to say, right? Like whoosh, woo. It sounds fun. You can kind of get the impression of motion it gives you. And also maybe you pretend it's a kind of like a Nike thing. It sounds kind of like swoosh. That could be, he could work that into his brand endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. So we've got him all figured out.
I mean, the Flash should have a shoe deal.
Yeah, absolutely. He should have
like
his own
Jordans.
Yeah. His own Barry Allens.
Yeah, is that called an onomatopoeia? Like the whoosh?
I think so. Yeah.
Like if it sounded like the action of it.
I think that is what that's called. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so our next snap judgment. If you teamed up with Supergirl, who would you rather have to fight? Livewire or Silver Banshee?
I think Livewire. Livewire seems the easiest one to defeat. If you can get around some water, just push her in a pool. Just go to a hotel or somebody's backyard, push her in a pool, you're done.
That's true.
Okay,
now, Livewire can follow you around through your electronics.
True. So you're going to have to move quickly and efficiently.
That's true. But or my idea, which is to just truly just like go off the grid, just like start to live in the woods as a recluse. Just leave everything.
She can't get you there.
Doesn't that sound amazing? Just wake up in the morning. There is no Twitter. You've left it behind. There is no Instagram. You've left it behind. You look out the window. There's a bird. You just look at the bird for a while. That's your day.
That's Twitter. That's a tweet.
That's your tweet. That's your tweet. No, although I think I agree with you. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near Silver Banshee. The makeup makes me think she's very unwell. I would see that and be like, something's gone wrong for you for sure. I'm gonna go for somebody a little bit more sane. Sure, she's actively smoking right now, but there are burn holes from her electricity all over her outfit. But as you mentioned, you just get you just pick up a bottle of water and splash it at her and you're done. You're good.
Yeah. I feel like that would be the best choice.
Okay. Better metaphor for Kara's love life: Cat Grant's cupcakes or Barry Allen telling Kara to speed things up?
I thought Barry's advice was not great. I don't know. I didn't.
Just get in there, girl.
I mean, she took it, so she thought it was good advice. But I guess I'm gonna have to go with the cupcake because at least it was visual. Kara could see it. She didn't just have to think about it. She could like, think about the visuals and sort of take that in. Plus, she could maybe sneak what Kat did not want her to eat the cupcakes, but Kara could probably snag one if she needed to. So I think Kat at least was trying to use it as a visual metaphor, and I appreciate the thought that went behind that. She was obviously thinking about Kara and trying to mentor Kara and trying to really do the best for Kara using something Kara would understand, like cupcakes. So I think I'm going to go with Kat's metaphor.
I think Kat's metaphor was good, although it was cruel. There's no way she's going to eat all 12 of those cupcakes. Sorry. Not even Carter could eat all 12 of those cupcakes. That's going to give everybody a upset stomach. She could have at least let Kara have one. That seems rude.
Kara could have eaten all of them.
Kara absolutely.
She's an alien. She doesn't seem to gain weight at all, even though she eats all that.
Kara and Barry could have taken those down. I'm going to go with Barry's metaphor because I think at this point I was so sick of the will they, won't they for Kara and James. I was just excited for anything that was going to like jumpstart some action on that storyline. So Barry was like, listen, hasn't it been long enough? Hasn't it been, say, 18 episodes long enough? Don't you want to like try this out? And Kara was like, okay. Now, it did lead to what I would say is one of the more traumatizing things I've seen on television, but it did get her to do it. So kudos, I guess. Okay. Our last snap judgment is pretty controversial.
Well, this is the last one from our snaps. We do have one more.
We have some from
the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Who is faster, The Flash or Supergirl?
I don't know why it's a controversy. There's clearly a winner in this episode.
I agree.
Supergirl beats the Flash to the warehouse. He makes up this excuse that he went around the perimeter or whatever.
I don't think so.
We did not see that. There was no evidence for this.
No, none at all.
And also, the way that the Flash goes back home is because he needs Supergirl's speed. He can't do it on his own.
Just not fast enough.
So he's not fast enough. So he needs her not to only be faster, but to also throw him at the same time. So I think it's very clear, given the evidence of the story and of the episode, there's a clear winner. I think it's Supergirl.
I think this is an open and shut kind of situation. It's very clearly Supergirl. I mean, could you make an argument for the Flash? Maybe. Will we be doing that on this podcast? No, we won't. No, we won't. It's Supergirl, and everyone knows it. Somewhere out there, Andy's like listening to this screaming, but there's nothing you can do. Okay, and this time our real last snap judgment, which comes from the chat, from two different people who asked us very similar snap judgments, Rachel and Aaron. Rachel says, snap judgment, who has the better wig, Livewire or Silver Banshee?
Yeah, and Aaron's is similar. I know you're confused about the wig, but Banshee, is she working it or wiggy? So I guess we could take it, one is a snap judgment.
Yes.
Then the second one is working it or wiggy. So let's take it one at a time.
Okay. Snap judgment.
All right. So who has the better wig, Livewire or Silver Banshee? I mean, they're both not great.
No. Neither one are amazing. But I would have to say, if I had to pick between these two wigs, I would go Livewire. I feel like that there's a wig, but it is a wig that has dignity to it. There's no dignity to be found in the wig on Silver Banshee. There just isn't. Somebody picked that up discounted at a Spirit Halloween store. That wig was never meant to see prime time.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree.
Oh,
I am gonna go the other way. I like Silver Banshee's wig because you know what? It's got some style. It's got the streaks. in the hair. She's got the silver. It fits the outfit. She's coordinated. She looks threatening. Livewire's is just kind of boring. It looks like normal hair. At least Silver Banshee's trying something. She's trying to go for it.
To be fair, she did get quite a bit of volume on that hair.
She's a banshee. She should look that's the way she should look as a banshee. I'm gonna go Silver Banshee on this one.
All right. Interesting.
Hot take.
Well, that brings us to the second part of the snap judgment. Are wiggy or working it? So let's start with Livewire. Do you think her wig is wiggy or is it working it?
I think it's working it. It's not too distracting. It's not as good as the first Livewire wig. That one is definitely the best of the Livewire wigs. It gets worse from here.
It sure does, yeah.
But this is passable. I think it's working it.
Yeah, I'll give it a working it too. It has gotten a little flat. She's lost a little bit of the volume that she had in the first one. But it's not. I don't think it's offensive.
No, it's not distracting. It's not distracting.
It's not like an Alex Danvers wig where they're just like, give her the weirdest one we've got. Okay, so that takes us over to Banshee. We've established that she's got great volume on that thing, but is it wiggy or working it?
All right, I'm gonna have to take another look at it.
Zoom in.
Enhance.
I was about to say, wouldn't it be great if we had like that CSI technology? It just gets closer and closer.
This is tough because
it is a tough one.
For me, like, I understand the criticisms. I do. I think it's the look is not right. I mean, I guess it's right in terms of the character, but it could have been better executed. But the wig, to me, is not, like, I don't look at it and say, oh, that's not, like, it's not distracting me. Like, I feel like it's working for the character. I know this feels weird coming out of my mouth, but I think it's working it. I don't know. Having revisited it, because normally I would have in the past, I would have been like immediately wiggy. But now that I'm like overthinking it, I think that it works for the characterization, and I don't think it's like gonna fall off. Like, I've seen worse wigs on Supergirl is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Are there worse wigs on Supergirl? 100%. 1,000%. There are so many bad ones.
There are some wigs where I'm like, that's immediately wiggy. Like, that one's got to go. It looks like fake hair. This one, it looks like it's part of her hair. Like, it looks like an extension to me. And I say that, I guess, as a pun. But it looks like an extension of her actual hair. So, I don't know. I feel weird about this, but I think I'm going to say working it on Silver Banshee.
Twist. So, on Silver Banshee, I gotta go wiggy. And I could maybe understand working it at the top level of the hair. Because I think they've done a decent job of like making it look like it's attached to her in some way. Again, not always guaranteed with the wigs on this show. But then as you travel down the hair, as you travel lower down, the quote unquote hair gets a lot weirder looking and a lot less hair-like. And but by the time you're down at the bottom of the hair, you're like, what is happening here? So it was almost there, but just for the bottom there, I gotta give it a wiggy.
Okay, I think that's fair. In totality,
yes,
it's a wiggy. Not just kind of where the roots are.
Yes. Yes, but she got some great volume there. Okay. I'll give her that.
So I'm gonna bring up Daryl's comment in the chat. He says it could be worse. It could be the wig that gave Kara bangs later on. I agree. That is one of the worst wigs on Supergirl. When she had the season 5 bangs, and then season 6 she didn't anymore, and so then they had to go back and give her bangs. That one was very noticeably a wig.
That one was not good.
That one was very wiggy. So the fact that Silver Banshee's wig to me is better than that Bang wig, that's that Bang wig is bad.
So bad.
It's
Truly.
worse than the Silver Banshee.
So bad.
So I agree with Daryl. It could have been worse. It could have been that wig with cars bangs because it was not great. I didn't appreciate that one at all. That one was immediately wiggy. All right. Well, I think we've gotten all of our snap judgments. A lot of hot takes, a lot of
So many hot
controversial
takes. Yeah.
topics there. So thanks to everybody for playing snap judgments.
No judgments on your snap judgments.
Okay, and we have some listener feedback on this episode. So Daryl wrote in to say, I think CBS already knew the show was moving to the CW. Why else would the writers so specifically reference another network? I'm glad that Kat is no longer holding a grudge against Kara for things not working out between her and Adam. Is this the only crossover that takes place on Supergirl outside of the big annual crossover? Maybe.
I think other than that duet episode.
Yeah, I think the duet one. Daryl says normally Supergirl has to go to other shows, but in this one it comes to her. It's astonishing to be reminded of how the show ramped up Kara and James when we know it'll get dropped immediately in season 2.
So do we think though that change happened like the summer before season 2 premiered?
Probably just because of like how immediate the like walk back from their romance was. It was like in the premiere, if I remember right, like within like minutes of the premiere. Kara was like, I think we should just be friends, right? And James was like, yeah, totally, as he like cries a single tear. If I remember right, it was in the premiere of season 2, although it could have been maybe in the second episode.
No, I think it was season 2's premiere episodes when they dropped the Kara James thing. It was pretty immediate. Before we move on, Hagel Blast is fact checking me. Duet was actually a Flash episode. Were there not 2 parts of that crossover? Somebody look that up. I'm having a hard time remembering it.
I don't remember either, to be honest.
Someone fact check me out because for some reason I remember there being 2 parts to that.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure.
It looks like it was just 1 episode. The story begins at the end of the Supergirl episode Star-Crossed, which aired on March 20th, 2017, which saw Kara Danvers hypnotized into a coma by Music Meister, with Mon-El and John Jones bringing her to Earth 1 in hope that Team Flash can save her. So
maybe that's why I have it in my mind that it kind of flowed into 2 episodes. Okay, thank you all for that fact check. For some reason, I remember Duet being a Supergirl episode, but that's actually a Flash episode. So thank you for the fact check on that. Everybody saying that Music Meister was on the Supergirl episode for very briefly at the end, which then led into Duet. So so everybody's kind of mentioning that. So my brain just totally fried, and so that's good to have that memory, because now I won't remember Duet being a Flash episode like I had. It's kind of like how we like tricked ourselves into thinking that Jeremiah Danvers ended in the woods when he didn't actually. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
We had just remembered that that's where we thought he was last.
Just sort of hiding in a bush somewhere.
So we misremembered some things. So thank you for that fact check. So continue on with Daryl's email.
Yeah, Daryl says they were doing themselves no favors writing James like a pouty, jealous child. I actually just fast forwarded through the Lucy and James talk at the DEO. It's meaningless. I'm definitely a fan of Silver Banshee's new look, and I loved her partnership with Livewire. In the beginning, Lucy is interrogating her about people being hurt by electrical imbalances, but it doesn't seem to come back up.
No, there was something that they thought that Livewire had done.
Yeah.
But there was no follow-up on that.
There's no follow-up. So was she doing it? Was she not doing it? We'll never know. And then finally he says, Kat has a real talent for figuring out secret identities. I really like her emotions in talking about Carter and Adam. If only we knew what ended up happening to them. They're fine, I'm sure. They're very rich.
Yes, they are very rich. They're probably at boarding school somewhere while Kat's
Exactly.
hanging out in the yurt.
Maybe Carter was doing some homeschooling in the yurt.
What a life. All right. Well, Kenny also wrote in to share some thoughts saying, quote, I loved watching this crossover again. It's my favorite of the CW DC TV Arrowverse crossovers. And while I like the other crossovers, this one was just so well done. Kara and Barry meeting each other was so great. And also Kara kind of needed another friend in her life. Barry Allen came at the right time to give Supergirl the advice she needed because Barry was also mind controlled. Yeah, that happens to these superheroes a little bit.
Yep.
The team up with the Supergirl and the Flash had a ton of action. The writing was great. The story was great. And it's one of my favorite episodes of Supergirl ever.
And we got an email. Our final email comes from Mara, who wrote in after we asked listeners if they enjoyed the first season of The Rings of Power.
Yeah,
Yes.
do you remember that? We had a conversation about
Yes.
this.
This is what I want because I need motivation to watch it because I want to know what happens, but I also desperately don't want to watch it because of how boring the first episode was. Maybe Mara is going to sell me. Okay, so Mara writes, I wanted to answer a question you asked on last week's episode. You wanted to know if anyone finished The Rings of Power and liked it. I finished the show and liked it a lot. It was a bit slow in places, but that doesn't always bother me. In fact, sometimes I find it nice to just live in each storyline for a bit. I love world building, and this show has so much of that. I also thought the acting was good, and that helped a lot in the slower moments. Can't wait for the next Supergirl Season 1 episode review. It has been fun to revisit episodes that I, and apparently the show itself, forgot about.
Yeah, there is the Forgotten of Season 1, Forgotten of Supergirl. So, okay, so has Mara maybe kind of turned the tide on your thinking about Rings of Power? Are you maybe
gonna get back. I think I'm gonna get back in there.
I think
sometime soon, for sure.
I kind of think you owe it to yourself.
Well, did I tell you
it? You might as well finish it.
Did I tell you that when I wasn't feeling well, like a couple weeks ago, and we were home for the whole weekend, we watched all of the Lord of the Rings movies, the extended edition, and then we started.
That's a time commitment.
Yeah, it was like each night we watched another one of the movies. It was incredible. I had never watched the extended editions, and it was fun. We got popcorn. It was really just
you were just doing it for the popcorn.
It was a popcorn delivery system for me, but it was also great. And then we started watching the Hobbit movies, and we forgot. And this might be controversial. We forgot how bad they were. We hadn't taken that into the consideration, so we got like through the first two. We still have to finish the last one, and we're just like, yeah, we're totally gonna do that. But once we get through that last Hobbit, then we're going straight to Rings of Power, and maybe then we'll be motivated. Probably what we should have done.
Oh no!
Probably what we should have done was watch the Hobbit first, take deep breath, then watch the Lord of the Rings movies, the good ones, the actually good movies, and then we would have been motivated. Like, let's do it, Rings of Power. And now we're going to be coming off of the Hobbit movie, off of like limping off of the Hobbit movie into the Rings of Power. And I don't feel like that's probably the right energy I want to take into that.
That was not fair to the Rings of Power.
Poor Rings of Power. I hear it gets better.
Well, I mean, how many episodes could it be? Couldn't be that many.
10. I think
they couldn't pay for so many.
The first one did feel like I lived a whole lifetime during the runtime of the episode. Like,
was it like a double episode, or was it?
I don't think so. I think it was just an hour, but it felt so much longer. Is the thing? It felt so long. So I just have to like psych myself up to get into episode 2. I hear it gets better. And they spent $1 billion on it. So
I would like for you to watch it.
Okay.
This is my request.
Sure.
And then report back.
I will report back. We'll see if I agree with Mara or if I go in a different direction.
I mean, now that Mara took the time to send this email into us,
I do appreciate it. Mara is trying to explain to me that it's worth giving a shot, and I feel pretty pretty confident that, like most people, I will get at least 37% through the Rings of Power.
So really, I think you owe it to Mara
I
to
do.
complete the season
Whole
and then
season.
and then come back and report.
Cool. I got you, Mara. I'll report back.
Okay.
It'll happen someday.
Would it help if I also participated?
Do you want to? It's quite boring. Okay, maybe. Okay, I think if you can get through like the first 2 episodes, then I think
Oh, it's
you might be
hinging on
okay.
me now?
No, I mean, I
Oh,
think if
okay.
we
I was like, are you putting the challenge to me that I have to watch the first 2 and then if I
If
watch the first
we,
2 then you complete it?
as this podcast, if we can just get through like another episode.
Look, we finished Supergirl season 6 and
We
I
made
think
it.
really if we can do that, we can do anything.
We can accomplish anything at all.
All right, so that is going to be the random Supergirl Radio challenge for ourselves.
Yes,
is to maybe watch the Rings of Power all the way through.
it's gonna happen.
And then
I believe in us.
I don't know what we're going to do with that. I don't know if we're going to
Patreon
about it.
exclusive, maybe.
So sign up to be a Supergirl Radio Patreon supporter and maybe you'll get a report about the Rings of Power.
We'll do our book report on the Rings of Power.
Now
for
we've
you.
committed ourselves to this.
Oh,
Now,
goodness.
now
It's not great. I've got some bad news for Mike.
All right, Mara, I think we're doing this for you. So thank you for
Gotta
writing
pour
in.
one out for Mara when I'm watching.
So thank you for writing in and sharing your thoughts. Even if maybe we don't agree, we're still gonna maybe try to give it a fair shake. I think we're gonna give it a fair shake. All right. Well, I think we've gotten through all of our discussions, snap judgments, and feedback. So let's get back in the Legion Cruiser. We're gonna get back into 2023, and we'll see you on the other side. All right. Got back to the future, I guess. Or is it just the present? Who knows? Maybe it's both.
Yes.
But now that we are in the present, we need to get to some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV podcast plugs.
If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Now see here, Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you want to listen to other shows, we've got The Flash Podcast, Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, The Lituation Room, DC on HBO Max Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Superman and Lois Radio, Green Lantern Podcast, The Sandman Podcast, DC TV After Dark, and Justice League Dark Podcast.
And since we talked about World's Finest, we have some Flash and Livewire designs in the TeePublic store we'd like to suggest.
Yeah, the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store is not just Supergirl stuff, even though the
No, it's
Supergirl stuff
not.
is great. We also have a lot of Flash designs. So if you're a big Flash fan, check it out because we've got some cool designs in there about Flash, about Zoom, about Kid Flash, Iris, Cisco, Killer Frost. We've got all the characters in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store. I don't know if we have any some of the newer characters that I'm not as familiar with, who are now apparently also going to be superheroes.
They're all going to be
They're just going to
superheroes.
end up being superheroes. But if you liked, some of those characters from the show, we probably have some merch and some designs, some mugs, some t-shirts, some hoodies, and all those kinds of things in the DCTV Podcast T Public store. And we have a custom one-of-a-kind shirt about Live and Wired with Leslie Willis that you're not going to get anywhere else on the internet. This is the only place you can get a Live and Wired design on a t-shirt or a hoodie or a mug or anything else you can get in the T Public store. This is the only place you can get it, is in the DCTV Podcast T Public store. So if you like Live Wire and you want a cool t-shirt, a cool design on your mug, if you want to get up in the morning, drink some coffee, and you want to get Live and Wired with your coffee,
Ooh,
that's
a good way to use it.
I think that's a good way to use it, because you need to be live and wired for the day. So this is the only place you can get it. It's a one-of-a-kind, custom designed a design from Comiker Girl, or otherwise known as Sarah Louver. So this is the only place you can get it. So definitely check it out, and hopefully you'll be able to spark up your day, or what's a better pun for that? Like liven up your day, brighten up your day. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like sparky. Lightning
wire up your day. I'm so bad at these.
So definitely check that out in the DCTV Public TV. Oh my gosh, I said that way too many times, and I messed it up. The DCTV Podcast T Public store.
It's not easy to say fast.
I enjoy it. I love my Live and Wired t-shirt. So just wanted to promote that there. Okay. Well, in addition to the T Public store, another way that you can support a Supergirl Radio is through our Supergirl Radio Patreon. So if you'd like to become a Legion of a Super sponsor, you can do that by going to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. We've got a couple levels there that you can choose from. And we'd like to thank our Legion of Super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Nicola, Abby, Miriam, Nicole, Brian, Ethan, Danny, Tara, and Majuba. So thank you all for supporting Supergirl Radio and helping us out. And okay, well, I guess if you want to hang out with me off Supergirl Radio, there are a couple of places that you can find me. I'm on a social media platform called Vero True Social. If you followed me there, you would know that I had recently started Love is Blind Season 4. Which I have a lot of thoughts about Chelsea, a lot of thoughts about Kwame, so many thoughts about Micah, which was weird. I went on a journey with Micah, and I feel like I started out not liking her, but then by the end of it, I was like, I kind of feel sorry for Micah. She maybe deserved better in the end.
Twist.
But the big person that we should all have thoughts on was Irina.
Irina. I have lots of thoughts on her.
Oh my God.
I have to say my favorite character this season on Love is Blind was Rocky the dog.
Oh my gosh. Rocky.
Chelsea's dog Rocky, truly a superstar in the making.
He was so important that the show gave him a lower third, and
that was my favorite. Where it's like, just in case you've forgotten who Rocky is, there he is, Rocky.
Really, the only person to care about or not even just a person, a dog. He was a dog animal.
But what a great character!
So he was the character to watch on Love is Blind Season 4. So you can keep up with anything I'm reading, watching, listening to. I posted over there. You can also follow me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. I will post pictures that I take over there, but also I just like to share like cool things that are popping up on Instagram that I think are really interesting. It's a lot of cat videos and people playing drums in weird ways. So if you're interested in following the things that I like to share, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube at youtube.com/DuckMilkProd. I talk about film, and very specifically Zack Snyder DC films. So if you're interested in that, subscribe over there. I will be going to the Zack Snyder Full Circle event which is next weekend, which is crazy. And I'll probably shoot some video there, maybe do some interviews with some other fans out there. I know some folks going. So I will hopefully be posting some video content there on my YouTube channel.
Ooh, that should be fun.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to do a little content creation while I'm there. Knock out some
Ooh,
reels, do some things. I don't know. Mix it
nice.
up. Maybe do some lives. Maybe I should do a live while I'm waiting in line.
Ooh, definitely.
Because I've heard that you can only wait in line to get into the venue like 2 hours ahead of time. I'm like, well, I'll
Oh,
definitely be in line for 2 hours. That's what's happening.
yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, that's like not too bad as far
No.
as like lines are concerned.
Not too
so.
bad. Yeah. So I might fire up Instagram Live.
Yeah, start taking some questions from the audience.
I might get bored, so that might be a good way to pass the time. I can't make any promises though. We'll see how it goes.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, which we're slowly transitioning into the Legendary Ladies podcast. But we have some fun stuff coming up. We just talked about the sort of the disappearance of a lot of LGBTQ plus characters on TV, and how actually the CW going down was a big culprit of that. And from that conversation, we got like a lot of tweets about Warrior Nun, the Netflix show, just a metric ton of tweets. Just save Warrior Nun. Have you checked out Warrior Nun? We're like, okay, I guess we'll check out Warrior Nun. So now we're
Are you going to do a pilot pod?
We're doing a pilot pod on Warrior Nun. So I know nothing about this show. I know she's a nun, presumably also a warrior. Those two things don't usually go together. So that should be fun. That should be like a
it's not
surprise.
like they can't go together. It's just they don't normally.
I'm not going to go up to a nun and tell her who to be. You want to be a warrior girl? I support you. So we have some fun stuff coming up on the podcast. I don't want to tease it too much because nothing's set in stone, but we might have some special guests sometime soon.
That's
Maybe perhaps even from maybe associate it with Legends. So so I don't want to say anything and then everything falls through and they're like, Morgan, you lied. I didn't lie. I just hinted, and if it falls through, I hinted incorrectly.
That's the best way to do it.
Exactly. But you will definitely want to keep an eye on our podcast feed. So like subscribe everywhere podcasts are found. I do podcasts, but I don't know, like Spotify, I guess, and Apple Podcasts. I don't know. You know which ones you like.
So I know the Legendary Ladies Instagram is active.
Oh, good call.
Yes.
We've been talking for a long time about doing an Instagram, and we finally decided, you know what? No time like the present. Just kind of like the way Cara decided to kiss James. And we need you to not just leave us hanging there as you walk away out the door without any words. We can't take it. Our hearts can't. So you can find us on Instagram at the Legendary Ladies, which we have our one coming soon post. Mysterious, right? So you should follow us now, kind of get in on the ground floor MLM style. So that, and if you bring in 5 of your closest friends as followers, you will get nothing but satisfaction.
You will get a quality podcast.
What if we give you a sash? what if we're just actually like soft rolling out our new cult?
I would join.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I would have to say goodbye to my friends and family and never talk to them again.
But think about the yellow sash you could have.
Yes. So follow the Legendary Ladies. Is it Legendary Ladies? Just the Legendary Ladies?
It's at the Legendary Ladies on Instagram. And we also have a YouTube channel, which is also at the Legendary Ladies. YouTube has done this fun new thing where you can't just put in like youtube.com/the channel name. You now have to put in like youtube.com/ at the Legendary Ladies. I find that obnoxious. But anyway, that's how you can find us. Can't fight with YouTube.
Follow, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. And look forward to seeing what's going on with the Legendary Ladies. I'm going to get to one question before we get out of here. CM Gutierrez 74 says, is there any reason that the dropping of the Continental trailer last week was not discussed in the news? Yes. I made the call. I'm going to hang on to some of the news that happened this week for next time because I just wanted to give Superman that attention that he doesn't normally get. So
that's true. He's I don't know if you know about Superman. He's a pretty below the radar
real
character.
obscure.
Like only real fans know about Kara's cousin, Superman. So it's okay if you don't know who he is. Could you imagine? Like who? Super who?
I like that we keep calling him Kara's cousin.
Kara's
I like
cousin.
that.
I'm gonna from now on. I'm gonna be like,
always
you know, Kara's cousin, Superman. It's like how I oftentimes will introduce people who actually know each other in my life. Is like, you know, my friend Sarah, and you're like, yeah, I do know. I know her. And I'm like, oh right. I'm gonna do that, but like with Superman as Kara. You know, Kara's cousin Superman.
Yeah. So
familiar.
that's why we just wanted to give Superman's 85th anniversary the big celebration that it really deserved. So we'll talk about Katie McGrath in the Continental trailer, and apparently we're going to be doing a pilot pod soon because that's going to come out, I guess. So we'll probably do a pilot pod on that on the podcast. So if you are interested in talking about the Continental trailer next time, we'll have all of that ready to go. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And thanks for joining us for Supergirl Radio Rewind.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira.
I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No. Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!